Your Excellency, President Vučić, and your distinguished government, and the business people of Serbia, and the business people from Uganda. I will make two speeches, one here, and there is another one in Parliament. So here, because I know you are businessmen, and businessmen like money, I will talk about money, not just other issues. Business needs three things. Number one, production of a good or a service. You produce a good or a service of good quality and so on. Secondly, you convey that product to the market, or somehow you get the people to access the service. If it is a good, it needs transport by road, by rail, by sea, by air. If it is a service, it needs to be accessed somehow, either electronically or otherwise. Number three, market. Somebody must buy what you produce in order for that business to be successful. Now, within the production, we in Africa, we are pointing out that there are two levels. There's the production of the raw materials, and then production by adding value to the raw materials. So therefore, these are the 4 points I want to highlight for this conference. In Uganda, we are able to produce a lot of things. Uganda is right on the equator. One part of Uganda is north of the equator, another part is south of the equator. We therefore belong to both the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. We are also somehow lucky because we have got a high altitude. The lowest part of Uganda is about 650 meters above sea level, and the highest is more than 5,000 meters above sea level. That's how you find that we have got snow all the year round, right on the equator. Now, that climate enables us to produce all sorts of things. There's nothing on earth that we cannot produce in Uganda that is produced anywhere. So therefore, we produce a lot of raw materials, of crops, especially starting with crops. We have food. You have heard that there are problems of food in the world, but we don't have a problem of food in Uganda. We are net exporters of food. We produce so much food. Bananas, potatoes of different types. This is what we call sweet potatoes, which I don't think you know here, and what they call Irish potatoes, although I didn't see anything Irish about them. But they call them Irish potatoes. Then maize, produce a lot of maize. There are foods which you don't know in Europe. These are foods like millet. Millet is the richest food on earth. I don't know why. I think it is the fault of the Ugandans not to sensitize the world about this food. Millet is a food which has got protein, carbohydrate, and iron together in one cereal. You don't get this in many of the foods. Rice is mainly carbohydrates. Even wheat, I don't think it has got the same as millet. So we have maize, millet, sorghum, beans, peas, all those, and then livestock products, cow for milk, for beef, pigs. If you are not a Muslim, if you want pigs, you can also eat them. Goats and so on. So everything is there in the form of raw material. So therefore, what we want from our friends in Serbia and in Europe and from other parts of the world is to work with us to add value to those raw materials. Adding value. Like coffee, let's take coffee. Beverages, I talked about food, but not the beverages. Beverages like coffee, like tea, cocoa, we have all those. So therefore, our big interest is adding value to these agricultural products. Because when we don't add value, we lose a lot of money. If you take a kilo of coffee, if you sell it as unprocessed, you get $2.5. If you process it, roast it, and grind it and package it, you end up getting $40. So you can see by selling the unprocessed coffee, we are losing a lot of money. I was telling His Excellency that the global business of coffee is $460 billion. However, all the coffee producing countries in the world, Brazil, Colombia, Vietnam, Uganda, Indonesia, all of us, out of the $460 billion, we share only $25 billion out of the $460 billion. And Africa shares only $2.4 billion out of the $460 billion. A non-coffee producing country like Germany earns $6.85 billion from coffee. I know you Serbians, you are Christians, Orthodox Christians. This is not Christian behavior in the world. And I want to go to Germany and also talk to the Catholics and say, please, you have departed from the teachings of Christ. Because Christ said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You are now loving yourselves more than loving us. So when we hear that Africa has got problems, wars and poverty, insecurity, actually it is from this problem of Africa not getting the real value of its products. What is true of coffee is true of cotton, is true of minerals. If you sell 1 ton of iron ore, there is an Indian group who wanted to export iron ore from Uganda, iron ore unprocessed. They had even made a deal with some of my uninformed people that they had agreed to export iron ore to India. How much will you get per ton? $47. Oh, but if you process iron ore and you make steel, how much will a ton of steel give you? $600, $700. I think it has now gone to $900. So these fellows, my people wanted to export our iron ore for $47 instead of $700 a ton. Now that means we'll be losing money, but also jobs. jobs, because the Indians will take all the jobs and the money. Therefore, you must have heard, you may hear that this old man, I'm an old man, I'm going to be 79 next few weeks. You may hear that this old man has banned the export of raw materials from you, of unprocessed minerals from you, and I've banned them. I'm not very popular in some circles, but I'm working for heaven, so I don't really mind. I'm sure God will be happy with me. So I don't allow the export of iron ore. I don't allow the export of lithium, because lithium is another thing now which is coming up because of the electric vehicles. They think I am stupid, that I should export lithium, and then somebody makes electric batteries and makes cars, and then I buy from them. I say, no, you come and make all those here. The car, the batteries, here, everything is here. Why are you bothering with all the suffering? So, therefore, point number one, which I want to emphasize, is to invite our Serbian friends to come and help work with us in adding value. Now, once we add value, then you remember my list of important things. The next thing is transport. What you have added value to, how does it get to the market? Fortunately, we have got quite a developed transport system by rail through Kenya and Tanzania. We had old rails, old ones, but we are now building new ones, the standard gauge railway, electric, from Uganda to Kenya, from Uganda to Tanzania. And then in Kenya they get on the ships and come. And then we can also, of course, have air transport for some of the products that can be transported by air. Then the third question is the market. Where is the market? You have heard that Uganda has got a population of 46 million, but the Ugandan ladies are very active. This population will be 100 million in the next 30 years. But that's not all. We belong to the East African community of 7 countries, Congo, South Sudan. This has got a population of 300 million people. And we are part of the African continental free trade area. 1.5 billion people. Now, there will be 2.5 billion in the next 30 years. So therefore, there is the internal market of Uganda, the regional market of East Africa, and the continental market of Africa. But we have also got agreements with the Americans. You know, some of the Americans are Africans. You must have heard about that. In fact, one of them was a president there recently. So therefore, sometimes we pull strings in the United States using our relatives who are there, and we get some trade concessions. Therefore, some years ago, we negotiated with Mr. Clinton and President Obama and all the others. They have maintained that free access to the American market. It is called AGOA, African Growth Opportunity Act. It provides for tax-free access and quota-free, tax-free, quota-free access to the American market for 6,500 products. They can give you the details. If you do produce something in Uganda, it can enter the American market, quota-free, tax-free for, they can give you those products, 6,000 of them, I think that's 6,000. Then we have also got, with the European Union, we have also got agreement with them regarding the EBA, everything but arms. That if you produce something in Uganda, it can enter the European. Although I still hear they have some taxes on processed coffee, and so on. We have also got a relation with the Chinese. The Chinese are our good friends, and they also give us trade access for quota-free, tax-free. So therefore, all the ingredients of making money. Then of course there are other things that for the production you need electricity. That one we have worked on it. We have got many dams on the Nile. We have got also other sources of power, solar. We are also building a nuclear power station with our Russian friends. So we are not going to lag behind on the issue of power. We have got geothermal. We have oil also. We have got some oil, but we shall not use oil so much for electricity. We shall use that petroleum for vehicles, but also for the plastics and so on, and for fertilizers, making fertilizers for the ammonia. So therefore, we have all the inputs, but what we want from friends is entrepreneurship and capital. Entrepreneurship is the capacity to have spectacles to see opportunity. Many of the people, their spectacles are not working. That's why the Chinese, our Chinese friends are very, very, very active people. They come and you see opportunity and you hear they have moved. I would like that spirit of good eyesight to infect also our European friends, starting with our Serbian friends. Because the Serbians are from Macho Tito. Macho Tito was a very good friend of Africa. So therefore, that's why we are here. This is a delegation of the Ugandans. They will tell you what is available. Things grow very easily, especially agriculture, things grow very easily in Uganda. So many years ago, I visited the King of Sweden. And he told me that in Sweden, a pine tree takes 120 years to mature. In Uganda, it takes 7 years. So this is the opportunity you have. That's why you hear that we have been having very bad governments in the past. You must have had all experiments in bad government have been tried in Uganda. There's nothing bad that has not happened, that can happen on earth, that has not happened in Uganda in the past. However, our people never starve. Why? Because they easily produce food. As I speak today, inflation in Uganda is 4.9%. I hear that inflation in many parts of the world is very, very high. I keep hearing. Why? Because of this ease of production. So if we can link with the more developed markets, we can really use our ancient production culture to do very good business with the rest of the world. We have got ancient products which many people in the world don't know. For instance, I can see in the audience here, Professor Muranga. She's a lady professor of food science food science and technology. But she was able to, because now we have the traditional way, our ancient ways of production, but then when our children study modern science, they go backwards, say, by the way, we were using this in our homes. What was in it? That's how Professor Muranga, for instance, was able to find that the banana flour, banana starch is much superior to what many people in the world are using now, even wheat, that wheat which people use so much. Banana starch is very rich. It has got potassium. Potassium is good for heart muscles. Ladies in Uganda don't care so much about watching their weight. They eat really, they become quite voluminous. But they don't die so much from heart attacks. And when I asked Dr. Murang, he said it is the potassium of the bananas which is replacing the doctors. So I like talking, so if you give me audience, you do so at your own risk. So I think I should end here so that I don't exhaust the patience of my host. Thank you very much.